Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Jack the Lad podcast. We have on today Ady Thurland again for the part 2 of his interview. If you haven't listened to the first episode, obviously jump back on and listen to that for a recap. If you have, thank you very much for listening to the previous episode. Thank you for listening to this one. And we shall get back into it. So you touched on at the end of the last episode that you wanted to talk about obviously the hospitals and stuff, especially Sheffield. What was when you were told obviously that you wouldn't have the use of your legs for the rest of your life? How did you feel about that, and what did have to change sort of drastically in your life?
To be honest, the use of my legs didn't worry me so much. It's my torso and my hands not working.
Right.
Because if I still had that, I could still ride a scooter, like a 3-wheeled scooter. I'd have to be lifted on it and lifted off it. And when you needed fuel, you'd have to get one of your friends, which is no problem, to fill you up. But it's because, the legs are the least of my worries, even though it's still a big upheaval. But I just knew really right from the off that I didn't think they'd work. And then you have incomplete or complete, and I was complete. So I'm C5, C6 complete. That's tetraplegic. That's my medical term for it.
So T5 and T6.
No, C5, C6.
C5. That's the
vertebrae.
The vertebrae in the
so
back. Isn't
everything
it?
below that is paralysed.
Right.
Apart from my arms work, but my hands don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How sort of weird was that to get used to?
Oh, that's horrible. Even now, you think, phones are just bleeped. The table's right next to my bed, which is not in here at the moment. But I just lean across. Even now, 5 years later, and you think, I'm sure you can't. I can't even in bed where I can't sleep. It's not tossing and turning. It's just moving your head because I can't even turn over.
Yeah.
I can just move my head in bed. That's the worst. When you can't sleep, which I can't sleep a lot of nights, so I have to have things to help me sleep. You can't just get up and go and have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever and watch a bit of telly in the front room and then come back bed. It's just silly things.
Yeah.
It's a big. When
you spoke about then obviously about you sleeping stuff, you take stuff for your sleeping, and we touched on sort of medication and stuff earlier.
Yeah.
What does your sort of pill regime look like?
I'm on about between 35 and 40 tablets a day.
A day?
A day.
And do you know what all of them do?
Yeah, well, a lot of them, I have for spasms, stop me spasming, for nerve pain, for stop my head, because get real bad itchy heads, and then that was worse, because I couldn't move my arms at one point.
Yeah.
So I would give people, like, if I had it on me, 50 quid to scratch my head. I would have done. That's how bad I needed my head scratched.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it. I try and do it on the pillow and all that, but it don't get everywhere, and just things like that. So them, baclofen, that's for pain as well. Pregabalin, that's for nerve pain. Baclofen, dantrolene for spasms. Senecot, that's for bowels.
So on this transition where you've gone through and you're on these 30 odd tablets, was it sort of trial and error in the beginning? Because obviously I know that there's some tablets that don't work well with others.
Yeah, it was a bit not on the big, like I say, one of my main tablets is pregabalin.
Yeah,
they're strong. I mean that you either have pregabalin or gabapentin. It's the same sort of thing. So like chap in the next bed might be on gabapentin and on pregabalin, but it's the same sort of neurological, is it?
Yeah.
Something like that. Pain. And I went to see a scientist. He is a doctor at Adensbrook, and they said, he'll go through all your pill list, he'll know what. So I thought, don't need that, and you don't need this.
Yeah.
I come out there, no, he gave me one extra pill. Do you know what I mean? I thought, he didn't like take any away, but he added. But he said to me, he went, I've got really itchy scalp. He said, you know what that is, doesn't it? Don't you? I said, well, one doctor said, yeah, it's all my oils coming out my skin, but out my scalp. He went, no. He said, I don't know why you get it, but it's long-term hospitalisation. It gives you something. It gave me this. Yeah, that was a pill and a different shampoo, and it stopped it. Just like that. So people, but I've never had many medication.
Yeah.
But you get this. I went out on a night, went up the Stirrup Cup in Barton Seagrave. Anyway, I was
Shout out to the stirrup.
Eh?
Shout out to the stirrup.
Yeah, big up to the Stirrup. And
Old man used to go in there.
yeah, we all did. And blood pressure went all funny, and I ended up in Kettering Hospital. And they could give me one of my 30-odd tablets. That's all they can give me. I said, "But can't you get in?" Well, we're a different trust, so we can't get into your medication. I said, "Well, I've got it here written down." "Oh, no, we can't give you that." So what I had to do was, their medication, what they give me, get my carer to bring my other medication and just take out the one that they had give me and have the rest. I've gone like cold turkey. Do you know what I mean? And they can't, it's ridiculous. It's like Kettering to Huntingdon, and they can't get in me, in the computer to get my drugs. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that does seem strange.
Because they're a different trust.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for medical records, you'd have thought it would have been...
everybody could access them.
NHS wide.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter what trust you're a part of.
It didn't. Not at all.
Yeah, that's mad. Me and the old man were talking about the stirrup the other day, actually, about it when he first had his first ever pint when he was 14.
Yeah.
And he went in with two of his mates.
He done well then, because John at the time, who was his landlord when he would have done it, was really... I tried it, and knew exactly how old I was.
Yeah, well, he said that he was there with a couple of his mates. They waited outside. He stood by the window, got served, passed two of them out the window. They scarpered down the lane.
Yeah.
And then he got his one, and then obviously walked out of it and met up with them. So he's like, even if I got stopped, we still had 2 pints, down the road ready for us. So and at 14, obviously that's all we needed.
Big shout. Done well.
Yeah.
Because when the first time I went up there, the landlord said to me, he said, "I know you." I said, "I've never been in here before." I was only 16. And he said, "I chased you one harvest festival because you were nicking flowers out of my garden, and I chased you up and caught you round by the flats." And I thought, harvest festival, I always used to, because we had a big vegetable garden, I always used to take a shoebox with turnips and whatever in it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been robbing out your garden. And I thought, if it was me, it must have been for someone else. But I still see him now, and he's still adamant that it was me, that when I was about 9 or 10 that he chased and caught me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was the first words we had when I went in the pub.
Oh, wow.
So... But he was a strict landlord. But he was a good landlord when you think back. But at the time, he thought, "Oh, he's wanker." Do you know what I mean? He's too strict.
Yeah, doing his job.
You get boisterous when you have a few beers when you're young. Do you know what I mean? He soon puts you back in your place.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Definitely.
Yeah.
So talk me through Sheffield then. So you got moved there, and then obviously you're settling in there.
You're settling in there. You go on Osborne 1, which is, I went up there. That was another thing. I didn't mention when the Richard, the night carer in Addenbrooks, he said, "You're still on a ventilator, helping you breathe." He said, "And you got a place at Sheffield that's got a ventilated bed, same as this Stoke Mandeville. The lad doesn't need a ventilator, and he's still waiting 8 weeks, and you'll want to go there. So go up to Sheffield because you got this ventilated bed." So I went up there, but when you got all it was only a small ward, and there were about 4 of us on it, and you got all these buzzers and bells. It was like sleeping in a fucking seaside arcade. Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell at night. And I said to him, "Have you got a fan? I need a fan." And I was so hot that this was the first night. So your temperature's up and all that. I said, "I'll tell you what it is. It's because I'm so hot. If you get me a normal rotary fan, not these, they had these Dyson fans. I don't know if you ever see them.
The bladeless ones.
Yeah, they're rubbish. Or they couldn't work them right. So I got the rotary, the old sort of fashion fan, put it on. I said, "Come and take my blood pressure, my temperature in about 3/4 now," and it was down to normal. It's because I'm so hot for all these machines.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And then, like, obviously, we all have to have manual evacuation of bowels. And I had 2 friends come on, and they used to come up every Sunday evening, Andy and Donna, and I went, Donna, just lift that bed in a little bit. I said, because I think I've shit the bed. She went, why? I said, can you smell? She went, yeah. She said, it stinks. But she pulled my bed cover up and she went, no, it ain't you. And it was a bloke, a lad, old bloke having his bowels done. And because mine was the only window open, it all coming my way. Oh, fucking hell, it stunk. It's I don't even like my own, do you know what I mean? Let alone anyone else's. But yeah, so I forgot Liv was doing it, but yeah, so.
That's all right. You're doing portrait as well as landscape as well. Cheers.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was where so I was on the ventilator bed and Pete, the head of the team that was over us, the respiratory team.
Yeah.
He said, be the tortoise, not the hare.
Yeah.
I said, okay. He said, because do everything slowly and right. I said, I will do. I got there on a Tuesday. By the following Thursday, I was off the ventilator. Right. They had been taken. Let me tell you the story. We'll go back a bit when I was in Addenbrooks. I was in Addenbrooks and they put the speaking thing, like a valve, on your trachea. And I started speaking, and this was not real long time after I'd been there. But because I had such a bad cough, the talking were making me cough. So they wouldn't do it no more for ages after that. So then they started doing it on this Monday they started, and I was talking. I did it for about 20 minutes. That's enough, because you have the speech and language therapist with you to see if you're straining your voice when you're talking. So, and you got your physio there, chest physio. So that was that. So that was the Monday. Then the Tuesday, I did it for about half an hour. Then on the Wednesday, I said, can you come back when my wife visits? She'll be here about 2. She said, yeah, we can do. I said, and when they came at 12, I said, oh, no, you're too early. She wouldn't get to hear it. She went, all right, we'll just show the nurse who's looking, because you one-to-one then. You had a nurse at the bottom of your bed. Because in intensive care, well, they call it IC, whatever it is anyway.
ICU?
Yeah, intensive care unit, yeah. And said, no, we'll show Abby, because she was one of my regular nurses who looked after me, how to do it, so she did. So when Gemma come, I said, hang on, they put me into a big chair. It was like a big armchair, but it's like a wheelchair sort of thing, but because you can't move sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they put me in that, but they always put the speak thing. So when they pulled the curtain back, I went, how you doing? I should just burst out crying. And then, and then later that week, my two of my best friends, Pete and Rob, Pete was just saying to Rob, he said, if there was just little bit of a sign that was improving.
Yeah.
And this was about Thursday, I think. And they come around. I went, how you doing, boys? All right. Oh, that's the sign. It's improving.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was a big thing, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
But what happened was, it was the Good Friday. Let me get it right. Yeah. So they used to do half a week each, my two physios. The head of the physios. And Alison was doing the second half of the week. But she had the Good Friday off because of bank holiday.
Yeah.
So on the Thursday, they said, oh, Abby will be able to do it for you on the Friday. So on the Friday, so remembering I'd done it spoke for about an hour at a time because straining my voice. On the Friday, I'd done it for about 8 hours. Well, you couldn't shut me up, do you know what I mean? Because I got a new thing talking.
Yeah,
So over that weekend, I think I'd done about 8 hours on the Friday, about 12 on the Saturday, 12 on the Sunday, about 14 on the Monday, because I was awake really early, so he put the valve on. That was the night, the nurse at night, and then in the day, so I was on a long while. So when they came back on the Tuesday, so he'd been getting on with speaking. So I told him how many hours I'd done. They were just going to give me a bollocking. Well, Louise was. That was the other one, head of the physio. And I said, well, it don't matter. You can tell me up as much as you like. I'm going Sheffield in about an hour. So she went, and she just laughed then. But I shouldn't have done it as long as I did. But it's just because there was no one there to stop me, sort of thing. I thought, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And also, what I had up, this was one of the worst. You have a cuff up in your throat. They blow it up, and you can't have no food down it or no drink down it. So having them, I don't ever see them. They're swabs that they do your mouth with. It's like old-fashioned rollers. You know the sponge of a roller.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like them, and they wet them. It's horrible. So I started saying, could I have suck ice cubes and just spit the water out. So they let me do that, and suck like a kiddie's lolly, you know, boiled sweet sort of lolly.
Yeah.
They let me do that, and but it was horrible. I used to dream about drinking bottles of Coke and that. And anyway, when they first let me drink, there's a lot of drinking mouths at the bottom of my bed, or just near the bottom of my bed. Anyway, it's the nearest my bed to anyone else's, and the nurse that sat near it, honestly, about every 30 seconds, can I have a drink of water? Because you only got them little white cups.
Yeah.
Can I have a drink of water? Can I have a drink? Because I was so thirsty and been dreaming about it. So anyway, there's a Burger King, like I said to you, and I said to Gemma, I said, oh, you going to get a Coke out of Burger King? She went, I said, that's if I can taste it. I mean, I don't know whether I'll be able to taste it or whatever. And she come back and I went, oh, said it's diet. I said, I hate Diet Coke. She went, that's all they had, but at least you can taste the difference, can't you? I said, yeah, straight away. I didn't really enjoy it. I've been dying for a Coke for months. But yeah, so that was at least I could taste everything.
Yeah. So just talk me back, just jumping back a little bit. Like when you couldn't talk, what was that like?
It was bad for anyone who was, because I changed the subject really quick, and I was doing it when they were lip reading, but obviously thinking about it now, it's so stupid. And they're thinking, I don't, because I've
so you were just moving your mouth to talk, to communicate. You were just moving your mouth in a way that you were trying to convey, obviously, what you were saying.
There were two people that were good at it. My mate Rob and my other mate Pete's wife Lisa, who I know really well, a friend of mine as well. And they could read me do it, but like Gemma and them, they're rubbish at it. Do you know what I mean? And then I used to get really angry. Do you know what I mean? And like, because I couldn't. But also, I'll be talking and say about, oh, what did you have for dinner or something like that? No, it wouldn't be that because I was being fed through my nose. But something anyway, and you tell them. But then I totally change the subject to something else, and they're thinking, I don't know what it means because I should never have done it. But you don't. It's just how your brain's thinking at the time. So yeah, it was hard for them.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And then I got this another Filipino, Jeanette, I think her name was. She was quite an old lady, and she'd like redone my the feed up my nose, redressed it. Do you know what I mean? And this Indian guy, the day nurse, he said, I'll do that. I'll redo your nose. And I thought, it's just been done, and she took ages and care on it. And because I couldn't speak, I was saying, no, like, you know, no, I've had it done. And he was just starting to do it. So I thought, I don't want it done because she's done it really good. I know she has. And like, she took her time over it. And so in the end, he weren't taking a notice. I went for his hand.
Yeah.
He pulled his hand away, and I was trying to say, I've just had it done. I've just had it. I don't need it done. But yeah, he's backed off of me then because he thought I was going to bite him.
Yeah.
I just did the motion. I weren't actually going to bite him, but you know, just things like that. You're so frustrated because you can't get your point across.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
that was really bad.
For that, how thankful now, looking at it, when you've had that period of time where you haven't been able to speak, you then look at it and think like, fucking hell, like that could have been. But that could have been it.
If you think about it, I can't move, I can't eat, I can't drink, and I can't talk, and I still weren't really down in the dumps.
Yeah.
You know, it's still...
Good. What did you use to get, like, you know, when you, like, your communication was at a minimal and stuff like that, or when you're on your own, when you haven't got your visitors there? Yeah. What are you doing? Because you're effectively staring up at the ceiling?
Yeah, ceiling, yeah.
So did you have a telly up there, or was there anything entertainment-wise?
There was, if you asked for a telly, you used to share it. It was on like a stand, like your lights.
Yeah.
And then just unplug it, move it to the next person. So that was it and miss if you got the telly. And that was the same in...
And how long ago was this? This was only 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
That seems insane. I'd have thought on a ward like that, especially when you've got spinal injuries and stuff like that, they would have fixings on the ceiling.
Not in Nottingham or Addenbrooks, but when I went to...
I'd have thought that'd have been the norm throughout all hospitals.
Yeah, but when I went to Sheffield, they had them on a stand above your head, and you could take all different angles, so it was comfortable to watch it. But I never watched it for weeks. I didn't.
So what did you do?
Just laid there. Do you know what I mean? Just laid there thinking and watching. I'm a people person. Do you know what I mean? I'll give, for instance, old John, he was 85. He broke his back. He tripped over a hose pipe, but a big fire one, because he was in the fire service, and his grandson were, and there was a charity day cleaning your cars, and he went and tripped over and broke his back. I think he probably was full of arthritis. I don't know that for a fact. That's me guessing, but he had a bed sore coming, so they take loads of photos to see whether it's gone down or gone worse, and so we had that done. On the Monday, I've got the discharge nurse next to me. On the Monday, the woman come in and said, "John, have you had any photos took of your bottom?" "No, me duck, no I ain't." So off she goes. So I said to this discharge nurse, "I'm going to tell you what's going to happen now." So she said, "What's that then?" I said, "The nurse is going to come in and say, 'John, you have had photos, you had them done last Thursday.'" And he's going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant today." They come in and said it word for word. So she said, "You're getting institutionalised, you are." You know what I mean? I knew the sound of every different trolley coming down with the squeaks. I knew one with the one with all your folders on it for when the doctors used to come around.
Yeah.
Because in one ward, on the first ward, Osborne 1, they'd come round your bed every Friday morning. Then when you moved to Osborne 3, that's your going out ward, the last ward, you had to go on a Monday afternoon in a room, and there'd be like 2 consultants, like yours and another one, a registrar, a normal nurse, your physio, your OT, and about 10 people. And I thought, well, don't know whether I fancy this, do you know what I mean? But me and Jem went in the first time, and I thought, oh, it ain't too bad, talking away.
Yeah.
So the 2 nurses were doing a walk, like walking and camping and walking, to raise money for a social room they wanted. And I said, "Oh, you get?" They was on Osborne 1, but I was on Osborne 3. But I see him as I'm going into this interview, shall we say, every Monday. And I see him. I said, "How are you doing with you raising your money?" He said, "Oh, we're 500 short of what we wanted." I said, "It's these. I bet it's these. What do you call it? Can't think of the word now again. What they are? Not your registrars. The next one's up. What I said. Your surgeons. What do you call them? Another one form. I just said it. Anyway, the top people. I said there'll be a couple in here. So I said all what I had to say, and asking how we're getting on, and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said there's 2 nurses doing that walk. I said, and people ain't been putting in. And I said, no, your consultants, that's the word I was thinking. Consultant.
Yeah.
And I said, and it's normally the big wigs that are taught with the money. Like that, these girls are doing a fabulous thing. Get your hand in your pockets. Anyway, I'll see you next week, and off I went. Like that, because I had my motorised one then.
Yeah.
So my OT used to tell me, because they said me and Gemma was a brilliant couple and they enjoyed us. She said they were laughing their heads off when you left. Anyway, one of these girls come and found me on the ward. She went, "We've got an anonymous donor of £250. I said, "I bet it's one of them consultants."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I embarrassed them a bit, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is the people like that are, they don't tend to give, especially when they've got it.
Yeah.
For stuff like that, it's all good. It's all good.
And then I went out one day, where we was going out, me, Gemma, my OT, and my physio went to a pub for a meal.
Yeah.
And he said in one of these Monday meetings, he said to my consultant, "Is it all right if Ady has a pint?" He went, "Yeah, I can't see why not. A pint, we're okay." So he like winked at me, sort of thing. But when I went out that day, I just had a shandy because like we was eating and I just didn't fancy a pint. But then I had a wedding, so I goes to this wedding, which was in where they bike round the reservoir, not the one up here, the one up off the A1. Oh,
Rutland
Water. There's a sunken church there, and it's at the top of it. They do weddings, so went to a wedding there. Then the reception was at the Thornhill Arms at Rockingham.
Saunders Arms.
Yeah, Saunders Arms. Don't get mixed up.
Same people.
Yeah. So then she hired a vehicle to get me down there, and then drove me all the way back up, and I got in bed about 2:00 in the morning. They showered me last, so they let me out because I said I might have a hangover. Anyway, he goes in there on the Monday. He said, "Oh, I hear you went to the wedding. How did it get on?" I said, "Well, we've done everything sensible." I said, "She released me because I'm clip and release. Where people have a leg bag, I don't. I clip off for 4 hours and get released, and then so I don't want a leg bag. Not in the sun when you got shorts and everybody's looking at your piss in your bag. Do you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
So they trained my bladder to do that, and I said, "Yeah, she released me sort of like."
How do they train your bladder?
Just do it up there. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but they just it gets used to it. It don't want to.
Oh, right.
Because I've got a suprapubic catheter, so that's like drilled straight through my bladder wall, and there's a tube straight into my bladder. So I just have to release a valve, and then you wee in a bag or into a bottle.
Yeah.
Proper bottle. So so when I went on the Monday, I said, "I took your advice, Mr. Ram." He said, "What's that?" I said, "About having a pint at the wedding." Oh, he said, "I was going to ask you about that." I said, "Yeah, we had pressure relief, that's leaning you forward."
Yeah.
And normally you fart a lot, do you know what I mean? Because you're sitting down a lot. But it's just taking the pressure off your bum.
Yeah.
Because you can get sores that way.
Yeah.
So I said, "Done everything right." And I said, "I took your advice and had a pint." He said, "Did you?" I said, "No, I had 7. And I went, and my OT said again later on, said, "They were laughing their heads off, eh?"
Yeah, I bet.
So it's got to be done, ain't it? So
yeah, definitely.
I used to go in there and make them laugh as well as, do you know what I mean? Because they're all helping you. But I was in, when I went in Osborne 3, I was in with Luke and Shane, and they're both alcoholics. Then they met up with Steve from Leicester. He was an alcoholic. Then Bill was virtually an alcoholic. So if you can imagine, they were all doing really well with the therapies because all their broken necks and whatever was all to do with alcohol.
Yeah.
And when they all got together, boom, like a chemical,
Chemical reaction.
Yeah, because one could get in a taxi, put his wheelchair in the taxi, go up Tesco's, get all the drink, bring it back, but they drink vodka. Do you know what I mean? And they'd come in, they'd be pissed out their heads. I'd be in bed, and the first night there, he braked, shot out of his wheelchair, head butted the ground, went to sleep, and they're waking him up in the middle. Well, when the doctor come, and he said, I ain't fell out of my wheelchair. I don't know what you're talking about. And even in the morning, he was saying the same, and he got a massive egg on his forehead where he'd butted the ground. Oh, they used to, and then they went up there and they sat there. 2 of them sat there, watching people who looked like druggies. Pulled this lad and said, "Did you smoke a bit of blow?" And he went, "Yeah." He said, "Who's the dealer?" The dealer used to come down the front of the hospital, and then after a while, dropping off their dope and the cocaine. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't get up for their therapies because they were fucking pissed out their head and got hangovers. Then Steve, he had like one of these and just fucked off back on the train with his ex-missus and her new fella and went back to Leicester.
And her new fella?
Yeah, I don't know, it was really weird. She was an alcoholic. She had like a glass eye. She was horrible. She used to stick. He weren't on my ward and you could smell her walking up. You could hear click. They used to come outside the front of the hospital, right? And there were tins of what was it? Fish. Oh, what was it? Not tuna or anything like that. pilchards or something like that they were eating out the tin because they were robbing them from Tesco's. They were right scumsters, I tell you. And he nicked the wheelchair, went back to Leicester, and then I heard one of the nurses on the phone one Sunday morning. I said, "Is that for Steve?" She said, "You shouldn't have heard that." I heard her telling the Leicester hospital, because he needed a manual evacuation for his bowels. He wasn't going to get out. That killed him, and none of his drugs. So obviously he'd gone to Leicester Royal Infirmary, and they were ringing up Sheffield to see what drugs he should have.
Yeah.
Stupid, could have killed himself.
Yeah.
Just because they're alcoholics.
Yeah, well, with that, obviously they're dependent on it, aren't they? They're very much alcohol dependent, and it makes you do irrational things. You're not thinking about the consequences of, the ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just want the drink, and that, you do anything to get it. It's the same with, when people have any addictions, really.
So a lot of the injuries up there are alcohol
related,
diving in shallow water.
Yeah.
Obviously car and motorbike crashes and falling from heights.
Yeah.
And obviously there's other ones, but they're the lot of the general ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you, if you could, was there one sort of standout nurse that you had that you thought, she went above and beyond? She was, your best nurse, so to speak, or your doctor or whatever?
And I can't think of a name at the moment.
Oh.
Can't think that.
We'll keep thinking about that.
There was quite a few.
Yeah.
And there was a nurse that I said that I didn't want her to nurse me anymore.
Right.
She was, Faye her name was, and what happened we went to go out to Meadowhall, which is a big shopping place up there, arcade. And I went to get in the taxi, and it was a big taxi, and it couldn't get me in because of my wheelchair. So I went back up and said to the nurses at the station, just put down, if they're in the Tilton Space wheelchair like me, tell them they can't get in taxis. She said, they can. I said, no, they can't. I said, I'm really let down. I'm dying to go out today and I can't get in the taxi. Oh, I think you'll find they can. Oh, fuck it. So anyway, we goes in the big main room. There's a computer you can use. So I went on there looking at vans we can have when I come out.
Yeah.
She comes up to us, thinking about my daughter. She's daughter's friend's got a van. I might convert that as taxi and all that. I said, yeah, it doesn't help me today though, does it? And then she got going on and on and on about it. Then she pulls me at the nurse's station and said, I've had a word with the taxi boss, and he said that you can get in the taxi. I said, tell the fucking taxi box to come down here and I'll prove him and you a fucking liar because I can't get in it because I was dying to go out and I couldn't go out.
Yeah.
So stop fucking going on about it. And then she was learning to do bowels, and she'd done my bowels, and my cousin was going up to York races, so he called in, him and his boy, and they were downstairs. They were too early for visiting, really, so they made him wait, and I got straight out of bed. And I said, she ain't made a mess, has she? Like with bowels, and it was all over my bed. Do you know what I mean? So she'd put an Inco sheet over the top so you couldn't tell. You don't want that, do you, if you've got two visitors coming around? So I said, I don't want her...
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No. So I said, I don't want her nursing me no more. And I had to go to the matron, and I said, just keep away. So she comes in, but I was besotted with her then. Used to watch all the while. Little Jojo would come in. This is when she was still doing... because she used to come and do the blood pressure in the morning and all that. Yeah. Jojo done everybody. She done one. Nurse come in. Yeah, I've done them all in here. Thought you lying cow, you've done one. And then I used to watch, she used to walk round and hardly do nothing. Do you know what I mean? And then I had to like think of something else to watch because she was like starting to take over my life because I didn't like her that much, and she was just a right dosser, you know what I mean? And none of the other nurses liked her.
It's amazing, isn't it, that even in that profession you still get lazy people. Yeah, it's definitely an odd thing to have, and but I think I've never really thought about it, but you would have that throughout. You know, when you speak to people, when I speak to people, and I say I'm from the military, they're always like, good stock of people, and I think I know some real thick people that are in the military, and idiots, not just stupidity. Like they do stuff that they know is wrong, but they still do it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. Like, and lazy people as well. We had no end of people that, like, for, inspections and stuff like that. They just wouldn't fucking bother hoovering their room and stuff like that. And you walk in, you're just like, well,
you're going to get pulled on that.
You're going to be getting pulled on that because I can fucking see it, that you haven't done anything in this room. And people did, so yeah, it's all... Yeah.
Well, we had a bloke come, there was a broken toilet and the nurse was sorting him out. All. Next thing, she's walking up and down with them. I think, they don't need you with them. Do you know what I mean? Just doing it like to get out of whatever you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the nurses didn't like it, and they said, like, it wasn't nothing, but, they can complain to the matron, but it's coming from the patient, so I complained to the matron, but because I had every right to, don't I mean? I said, one thing she's doing my head on about this taxi, won't let it go, and then she didn't do my bells. I don't think she's up to it, so I don't want her. So then the next morning she come to do everybody's blood pressure, and not mine, just walked out, and someone else come in and done mine.
Right, well, that's we're closing in on tail end of the show now.
Are we? Right.
Yeah. So what would you sort of say to anyone, in any sort of a situation, if they do have sort of a dark day or anything like that? Is there, any words of wisdom that you've got? Or
yeah, there's always people worse off than you, and if you can, look to the future and the positive things that work on you, you know what I mean? Because I went to an activities camp through the spinal, and I did abseiling in my wheelchair, zip wire, like this block building, and in the canteen there were some young kids that was in a terrible state, and I thought, well, I ain't that bad really, looking at these poor little things that, children that couldn't eat for themselves. Well, I can't eat for myself, but they just didn't know where they were really poorly, do you know what I mean, and disabled. And I thought they've got their whole lives to go. If they last, you never know. It's like me, I've got no diaphragm, so I'm susceptible to chest infections and pneumonia, and also heart attack, strokes, because I don't move. So there's all a lot of things, but you don't think of things like you don't harp on that. You just look forward, and the next. I went on holiday to Cyprus, and I asked if they could take me parascending, and they said, "Oh no, we don't, in case anything goes wrong." But I would have done it if they let me.
Yeah,
I swear I would have done it. I didn't have a lot of fear before, but I ain't got much now at all. And on the way back, they dropped me on the head. The people that getting me on the plane. I could tell you loads of things. We're flying, but been there for Cyprus. And they got what they call an eagle lift, and we haven't got one in any of the UK airports. So what it is, it's a little lift that takes you and plonks you in your seat. In the UK, we have to be put on a little trolley that goes up the aisle, and then the manly sort of hots you across. But this time, coming back from Cyprus, the eagle lift, they got me up on the specialised lorry, slide the thing to the aircraft, and then they put me in the only door that the lift don't fit. So then they pick me up manually in their sling. Well, I've got a sling which has got bits like that on it that you can really wrap your hand around. They didn't have much to hang on to, and one of them had been off. He's a big bloke with a bad back, and he was on light duties. Next thing, bang! I sort of like coming round. They dropped me on my head on the metal, and knocked me out only for a split second. And my missus saying, "What's your date of birth? What's my date of birth? What's the kids' names?" To bring me around and all that. They wanted to keep me in Cyprus, but I just wanted to get home. Then they were going to take me to Harlow Hospital. I said, "No, I'll come back to Hinchinbrook," and got checked out at Hinchinbrook, and I was all right. Give me a CT scan. So I've got to, put a big complaint in there, see if something happens. Because if that was an old lady, they'd have killed her.
Yeah.
And also the sides. I mean, I didn't see this, and worse for my missus, that right close to the side that you could easily, your body could fit through. And she said, if you that tarmac, you'd have been dead. Or concrete. So that's another story.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
It all happens to me.
Yeah.
But she said, "Oh, that's it. We'll never fly again, will we?" I said, "We will." I said, "Will you still fly?" I said, "Yeah, we're not going to." That's not going to happen every time. Do you know what I mean?
No. Maybe you want to put it on a bit thicker that you will. You're thinking about not flying.
Yeah, well, I said to her, I heard Lake Windermere is good this time of year. As soon as I come round, I would joke.
Right, well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Ady.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
It's been a real pleasure listening to it. It's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, there's so many stories and things that happen. Do you know what I mean? I kept myself away from all negative people. I suss the negative people away because they can soon bring you down.
Yeah, 100%.
And I see who was up for a bit of a laugh. And the time we pinched some biscuits, and my mate, because he could use his hands, but he used to spasm. So we got these they're not dodgy, they're rich tea, the thin ones. And he's going to give me a biscuit and he's spasming, and all he's got left is dust in his hand. There's the fucking heat because he crushed it all up with his spasm. And then he made the coffee. We nicked the milk and he made the coffee. And then he'd spilt all the sugar by the time we got to my cup because I had sugar, he didn't. Oh, it's funny. There's loads of stories, I tell you.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll bring this all back and we'll do it again later date.
I'm sure we can fill
Sort
another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Right. Well, thank you very much for listening, everybody. Yeah. If you want to view anything else that's on the podcast on over the platforms, or on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, all of that sort of stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and all the rest of it. And the Jack the Lad Army will keep marching on.
Definitely. So, thank you for having me, and keep subscribing.
Yeah, beautiful. Right. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers.